Hello and welcome to Help and Holler Live. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we'll get started with the show. Let's go, let's go. Let me know, let me
Especially,
know.
can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you, Miranda crew. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is Joe, and we are Hellbent Holler. This is our weekly show we do every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's sort of a free-form conversation about all things weird, high strangeness, Bigfoot, Dogman, little people, ghosts, goblins, ghouls in the night. We kind of just fly by the seat of our pants with our wonderful little group of hellbenders here, and we just have a good time. We really just have a good time and kind of enjoy talking about these topics. Sometimes we come with a topic prepared, but a lot of times we just see what everybody's kind of got rolling around in their head for the day. Today's subject is something that's a little subjective. It is Sasquatch, its origins, some theories on what Sasquatch could be, and everybody seems like they have a different opinion on that. But before we get to that, if you enjoy the show, or even if you don't enjoy the show, I don't care. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends about Hellbent Holler, and you will be blessed with 1,000 blessings.
1,000 Bigfoot blessings.
1,000 Bigfoot blessings. All right, guys. I think that's good for that, right? We've had a pretty crazy couple of days. I know that I say that a lot when I come in here on Mondays, but my goodness. We released a video to our members last week in the middle of the week, and it was pretty controversial. So if you are not a member, you can join the membership and take a look at some of that extra bonus content, including extra investigations that are not seen here on the main channel. So take a look out for that. If you are so inclined, we are very appreciative to our members. That's what keeps this project going. We are not sponsored by any companies, although I was very tempted by that Temu sponsorship.
We eat as much crap as we talked about Temu. Temu came through
now
big.
Now we're Temuites.
We are, but we are sponsored by our community that allows us to do a lot of cool stuff and share it with you all. Thank you for that, Oki. Matter of fact, we're already getting a little bit of support from the community here real quick. Thank you, Oki. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
We appreciate that. Curtis Whitaker.
Curtis Whitaker,
man. Every week out the gate, Curtis. My man, Curtis Whitaker. Every week leads us off. We appreciate it. And then our boy Travis Shaper.
Travis Shaper.
Party started, and the party is starting. My voice just kind of squeaked there a little bit. Maybe I'm going through a second puberty, kind of late in life.
That's very late.
I'm going to be 7 feet tall and grow 2 beards.
Oh my God. His beard will have a beard.
Of its own. So thank you, Travis.
I'm going to need a week off from everything if that happens. So.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about all those things Sasquatch. I know that everybody seems to have their own opinion about what Sasquatch is, where it came from, what its purpose is, its modus operandi, its behaviors, or even if this is a solitary type of being, or if this is just multiple types of being identified as a single type of entity.
Thank
you, Nate.
Thank you, Nate. We appreciate that. Mr. Carter, thank you. We are obviously looking into this new research area. Jesse is getting out the next Laurel Creek video. It's taking a little while to get out. We're spending a lot more time than normal in the latest research area that we have. I've been ecstatic about it because I thought it was just going to be a plain Jane Bigfoot place. I'd be able to bust the flags out.
Oh, sweet summer child.
Ah, that was great. And that is not the case. We had some weird orb activity there this weekend. We were able to catch a couple of them on camera for people, and then we caught on the live stream, and then we caught some on camera as we were leaving out. We thought it was an orb at first. It was a plane. You could finally start to see the transponder lights off of it. But then that was immediately followed up by an orange ball of light skimming through the treetops, disappeared from view, and then we either had that or another light, because we couldn't quite make it out, kind of followed us out of the forest.
I kind of flipped Joe out because we're walking out. We're trying to get out of there, and we're walking, and we're just trying to hustle to get out of there. And I see it behind us, and we're filming it. And I go, "So is it following us?" And you're like, "Please don't say that. Please, why are you saying that? Why would you say that?" But we're excited to share this new research location with you guys. We've been going out there pretty hardcore lately, so we have a lot of footage backed up from there. We've been going out and just filming and filming and filming because there's so much to this new research area. And we can't wait to share it with you guys. We can't wait for you guys to see this place. We talked about the report on here, right? Was it on the show last week?
I think so. The original report that we got was a fisherman doing fishing.
No, I'm talking about the report. The report.
No,
or was that on
we
a
didn't,
members?
We didn't talk about the report.
Well, see, not everybody has context for the area yet. So,
specs here.
Specs.
My specs.
But I'm almost done with some of this Laurel Creek stuff. There's been some weird new developments on the Laurel Creek area as well. New developments, as in developments from yesterday. On the Laurel Creek area. So I have.
Yes, Harvey, not getting audio. Is everybody getting audio? Everybody getting audio? Tell me you can hear me and see me. Give me.
Nobody else is saying that.
Anybody getting audio? Can you see us and hear us? We adjusted some audio settings this week. Thank you. Let's see here. LW Marshall. We appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. But let us know if you are good here, loud and clear. Okay, gotcha.
What's up?
And our good buddy Tracker back. Tracker.
What's up, Tracker?
Tracker. I hope everything's going well out west for you. Yes to the audio. Yes to the audio. A resounding 5 by 5.
Okay.
So the area that we're looking into right now, not Laurel Creek, the area that you have just seen occasionally, like little glimpses of, but that we have been hitting. It's been occupying a great deal of our time.
Yeah.
We did 11 miles on foot in there the other night. I feel it, carrying more equipment than we normally carry.
I told you to use. I have a little wooden foot roller. As soon as I get home, I use it. So.
I need it on my back.
Got to use that bad boy.
But it is an area that we originally went to, and we are calling it Blackthorn Forest because we needed a
Blackthorn Lake, my boy.
Blackthorn Lake and Blackthorn Forest.
Yeah.
Because it has locust trees with giant black thorns on it. Something that's like a devil's club plant that is just these stalks with like multiple large thorns coming off that we haven't seen really in any other area so far.
It's also completely covered in the rustiest, oldest, sharpest, most dangerous barbed wire you've ever seen. So I think that we kind of come up with some code names for some of our areas because we have to keep our location secret. And we definitely learned a lesson about that yesterday.
Yeah, and we'll get into that here in a minute.
We will.
So we've been hitting this Blackthorn Lake, Blackthorn Forest area.
Oh, and another thing too, we did encounter a North American woodcock on Saturday.
We were trying to set up.
That's the important part.
We were ticking off a North American woodcock. Apparently, they are pretty pissy little birds when you get right down to it. He made his displeasure known. And we, Kim Armstrong for Jesse's shoe fetish. Woo, yeah. That was weird. That was definitely weird. But we've been hitting.
My big old feet wouldn't fit in those little shoes.
No, those were tiny little delicate shoes. But so we've been hitting Blackthorn Forest and Lake extremely hardcore. And it is a very weird area. It is, for those of you who are kind of catching up with it, we had a witness report. Somebody told Jesse about it, actually, that this gentleman was out fishing in this lake there and started to get screamed at.
And this is not somebody that contacted me through Hellbent Holler, through our email, through anything like that. I met this person in the normal world out there somewhere. I guess the not so normal world, what people think is normal. But this is somebody that I met by happenstance, and I got to talking about what I do. And then they said, "Oh my God, have you ever been to blah, blah, blah?" I'm like, "No, I didn't know that existed." And then they started telling me this story. And that's what prompted us to actually go out here to this new area initially.
So we went out there and checked it out. And on our initial venture, we really didn't see or hear much. And we did have a run-in with the DNR, who was a little aggressive as to why we were out there. And then we later on got another report through Hellbent Holler that someone was there hunting and was chased out by a large black figure, very similar to the Grove reports that we get. And we're still not sure whether that person was poaching, or because there is a lot of poaching that was going on there once upon a time.
That's initially why that DNR officer came tearing down at us,
Yeah. So, Brett, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the Monday Nights first ever live chat on YouTube ever. Hats off to you guys.
Brett.
Welcome. I'm glad we're your first there. And then Tanya had asked, do you think that was part of the garbage pile? That was the shoe thing. We think so, but it was just odd how some of them were dug out and on top of the pine needles, for those of you who saw that. But we didn't really think much of Blackthorn when we were first out there. And then when we got the second report, we decided to dive back in there and check it out a little bit. And we had just scratched the surface. I mean, we had just kind of basically gone out there and looked around a little bit and went, this doesn't seem like much. The area is much larger than what we originally were led to believe.
Yeah.
And it is basically a very large lake with a series of very large peninsulas going into this lake. It's undeveloped. It's pristine. There is massive tracts of public land that is gated off, surrounded by even larger tracts of private land, which is all undeveloped, no homes. It's all posted. And
we have quickly discovered that the maps that we have on, I use a couple of different mapping apps, but I also use my Garmin GPS. Joe uses a Garmin GPS. We have several maps that we use when we go out into the field. We've noticed that our maps are very inconsistent with what is supposed to be out there,
and our maps are
as well as distances.
And our maps are very inconsistent with each other as well.
Yeah.
None of them really match up with what the other one thinks. And this area has got everything in it. It's got land that was seized by private individuals and made public.
So if you guys have your Hellbent Holler bingo cards, go ahead and get those ready. Just go ahead and get those ready. Go ahead, Joe.
So we have land that was originally private, that was seized to become public land, that it looks like there was an effort to make recreational areas out of this that then fell by the wayside very quickly, and then this land was just gated off. There is massive amounts of quartz out there. We are constantly running across cemeteries that are not marked on any map out there, just in the middle of the woods. We've found up to 3 cemeteries at this point that are just forgotten. It doesn't look like they're ever visited anymore. There are reports of anomalous activity of something living in those woods. And it's just got everything there. It's got everything that you would expect from a good old Hellbent Holler investigation at this point. Up to and including, we found out that for some reason, after this land was taken from the people who originally owned it, and to read the original reports, and we'll get to that, it seemed like it was very sparsely inhabited. It looks like it was inhabited a little bit more densely than what we were originally led to believe. And
initially, before we even got this report, I've got a report that I have tracked down through several means that I'm currently going through right now. It is a tome. When I say it's a big report,
I wish you had it in here to show.
It's in the living room if you'd like to go grab it.
It's massive. So
it's a tome. I had to 3-hole punch it and everything after it got sent to us by someone. And I'm not saying it, but I had to 3-hole punch it. We had to print it and then 3-hole punch it. And I put it in a binder, and it is a tome. But, before I even got that report, we're in one of these locations scouting it out. And I was like, there was a plantation here. I said that to you right off the bat, that there was a plantation here. And lo and behold, I get this report, and there were actually 2 plantations out in that area that we are investigating right now. There were 2 separate plantations, as well as several other farmsteads of varying sizes. So it was much more inhabited than we expected it to be.
Thank you, Michael Tovar. Got his Hellbent Holler logo
Thank
shirt.
you.
Again, we're community supported. No big sponsors. Nobody wants their name associated with us, but we appreciate the support there, Michael.
But if you do, you know what? There is a company associated with us. There is. It's called thehelpandholler.shop, where you can buy your Help and Holler merchandise. I'm kidding.
So,
I just put it in the chat.
So anyway, we went out here and we went into this area and we start finding remnants of more homesteads than what you would expect. Like Jesse said, we found remnants of what appeared to be a pretty good sized plantation, multiple cemeteries. We found an old boat launch that a pretty decent amount of effort and expense went into to build, that then was just gated off multiple times.
And we keep mentioning this. I think Cryptid Castleberry said this earlier, and I took it down. I had put it up. It said, it's amazing how much these active locations have in common. A lot of the stuff that we're finding in this Blackthorn Lake area is very, very similar to what we found in the Land Between the Lakes. But the activity we're finding is a lot more intense.
It's times 10. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so we start finding more remnants of previous human habitation in this area. So we start digging into it, going, well, what's up with this? This is a strange area to, again, you take this land at great expense, great personal pain to the people that it belonged to, kicking them off. It looked like here, just like the LBL, that there were efforts to try to start to maybe turn this into a structured recreational area, campgrounds, boat launches, all of that. And then that falls by the wayside. So we start looking through there and we start finding mentions of multiple reports done by multiple
agencies,
state and federal agencies out here, which you don't usually see in these areas. Archaeological, anthropological, just all sorts of different reports. And it turns out that they didn't really know a lot about this area, both before the Civil War and then after the Civil War. It's a very sparsely populated area of the state. Not a lot going on there. And there's not a lot of record keeping that took place there up until the time that the feds seized it. So they go in there and they start looking, I guess, trying to figure out what's going on there. They start finding all of these like small local and private cemeteries. They even talk at one point that they were going to start exhuming some of the graves to look at like burial practices.
Yeah,
of the area.
There was an exploration of the possibility of exhuming some of these graves to try to determine what the burial practices of these different eras was.
And wouldn't the burial practices there pretty much be the same burial practices that you would see in any other part of the state?
I don't know. It's not like this is some lost civilization that we're trying to figure out.
It's not like they just found like an undiscovered tribe in like the Amazon or something. It's very weird. So we find mention of these reports. So we start going to hunt for these reports that we're hearing mentioned in different places by different government agencies. And we tried to go through official means to get them. They want a bunch of money for these reports, man. It was crazy. So we got our first one through, let's just say, back channel means. Someone was able to kind of help us out. Back channel, let's just leave it at that. And this report is like massive on this.
That's area. Our
tome. We found mentioned they discovered a mass grave of, they assume to be 50 people is what they estimate in this mass grave. They don't know who's in there or why. They don't know if maybe there was like an outbreak of some illness that killed a bunch of the locals. They don't know where this mass grave came from. There's no local record of it. No one seems to know who's in this mass grave. Now, it's not recent. It's from the 1800s. So, but they don't know what's in this mass grave. They don't know what happened. They don't know if maybe, obviously there's a lot of dark stuff associated with this area. There was a working plantation there. So they owned slaves. We found the slave records of the property. It was listed on the property owner when he died as far as his
There's
assets.
a asset manifest in there where people are listed as assets.
Yeah.
What's interesting as well is adjacent to that property owner's land was a free Black person who also owned slaves and had a small farm as well. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's such a cross section of society at that
very
time.
Weird area, but who's in these mass graves? And we don't even know where the mass grave is yet. We can't. We're still going through this, and there's two more reports that we're in the process of getting that will maybe have some more information. But what happened to this mass grave? Were these people exhumed? Did they find it, kind of get an idea what was going on, and then put everything back? I don't know yet.
So Travis Shaver has a thing he said to go pack. He said, I wonder if there are any Native Americans in the area that would be versed in the area. Also mentioned in this report is several what is referred to as prehistoric sites.
Prehistoric sites of prehistoric religious significance.
Yes.
And we're trying to figure out where those were, how those were determined to be of religious significance. And they didn't use the words religious significance. They didn't use cultural significance. I can't remember what the term is. This damn thing's huge. And then of course, Jesse, here's her cover for it.
I'm extra.
You're just a crazy person. Top secret. Anyway.
It does say for Hellbender use only.
But it shook the floor when I dropped it. But it's weird that they went in, that they were so confused by what was going on in the area before they took the land. And then for some reason, they never did anything with it, and they've just gated it off. It's a pain to get into on foot. I mean, it damn near killed us. Like I said, we did 11 miles getting in there, and we've only scratched the surface for this. We're kind of in a race against time because that part of the state, well, pretty much all of South Carolina, when the summertime comes along, most of the Carolinas outside of the mountains are going to be abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not really going to be able to get any audio evidence, especially at night, because of the insects. You're dealing with the heat. So we're kind of, not to mention the foliage will get so thick that stuff that we're able to find right now, because all the, the brush and everything's dead, you can kind of go around there and explore the land a lot easier. But what I have a question of is so this was 2 witness reports that we got. Nobody really goes into this area. We shared some footage of it, of the lake, and this was a warm Saturday. Was it Saturday? Saturday or Sunday?
I have footage from several days, but yeah, it was nice, beautiful days each time.
And there's nobody on the lake.
Gorgeous.
And talking to people from the nearest town, which is miles and miles and miles away, nobody really knew anything about it. We'd never heard about it before the original witness reached out to us. So people do go there because the original person that spoke to us was a fisherman, and then this other guy who was a dubious hunter back before the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, really just kind of cracked down out there. Yeah. And they were not overly thrilled about us going out there. When we first spoke to the frontline people, and Jesse worked her way up the ladder, and then finally they were like, no, you can be there. There's no reason not to be there. And we were like,
I can be there.
Yeah,
you, on the other hand.
I, on the other hand.
You cannot.
But it's just, it's all weird out there. And I look at this and I go, there's so much territory back there that originally had roads to it, that these roads have been gated off 2 and 3 times. Trees are down across these roads. There's no vehicular traffic. There's one road that we've seen that the DNR uses down there that's gated off to the general public. And I'm going, there's so much land down here, and there's really no reason to go back in there. There's no hiking trails. I mean, unless you're just a weirdo that wants to see weird stuff, like old ruins and all that. But there's really no like recreational activity through there. And I'm going, so why did they seal all this off? And my question is this, was there weird stuff going on here before they got the land, they realized it, and then they sealed it off? Or was it something as mundane as like budget cuts came along? They didn't have money the next year to do it. So they closed everything down and they just never revisited it. The government it's bureaucracy. It's inefficient. And then did weird stuff kind of like move in at that point after this land was left vacant and basically abandoned? We have found what appears to be like legit Sasquatch activity in there. We've found prints. We have found something moving very large rocks around. We were finding bottles in the trees and pieces of metal, like old farming implements and everything like that had been taken out and placed in the trees almost in decorative ways. And some of the metal was placed in lines that almost looked like an alphabet or something like that. So at first we were thinking that there were people back there just messing around, people just out exploring like we were. They take a break, they get bored, they start digging bottles out, because all of these homesteads have basically the trash that was left from them that has not not deteriorated away, glass and metal. A lot of them have, people didn't have garbage pickup back then. You got 10 acres of land. You usually just pick a little spot and make that your trash heap. A
lot of people act like they don't have garbage pickup right now.
Exactly right. So, but we thought that people were doing this. And then we started finding very large rocks pulled out of the ground, 300-400-pound rocks, and moved around. We'll find them when they were taken out of the ground, laid somewhere long enough to mash everything down into the earth, and then moved again, stacked on top of one another. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, all
One
right.
area looks like these large stones were moved into an orientation that appears to be like it was designed for a gathering of sorts.
Yeah. So it's weird. And I'm going, okay, if these are people, then we've got like autistic powerlifters back here just hanging out for like days on end doing all this stuff, because it's everywhere through there. It's mile after mile. And you'll see, we found a little track. We found some bottles that were in the trees leading us down into this like little cut with this creek that kind of goes down in elevation, this little valley area. And we were finding metal, like bottles in the trees that were leading into this area, that then turned to metal in the trees, that then turned to white quartz, pieces of white quartz laid out in like a trail. And then it turned to like animal bones, which was weird. And then as we got deeper in, it started going to bottles and metal again, but the bottles are now in the trees and they're broken. And it's pretty, you have to really pay attention to where you're going in there. Luckily, it's easier right now because it's the winter and the foliage is all dead. But in the summertime, if you're trying to like bust through there,
it's going to be impassable. You're
going to get cut up pretty bad doing this. Something is taking the barbed wire and breaking it and then coiling it in the ground and kind of covering it with leaves, almost like rudimentary like traps, because we got caught up in it a couple of times. You have to wear, even like in the winter, you have to wear abrasion resistant clothing back there, and high boots and double up on your socks and everything like that, just to avoid just getting cut up back in there. So there's something crazy going on back in there. And the ground is still really hard from it being wintertime. We had one warm day and the anthills just erupted everywhere in there. We were getting out of the truck and we found an anthill that had been mashed down with what appears to be just a classic Sasquatch footprint. You could see the toes, the earth between the toes, where the earth kind of comes up between them, was still defined. It was crumbling as we watched because the ants were furiously trying to like rebuild their anthill. So we were going, this must have
It's just a lot of crazy stuff.
A lot of crazy stuff.
So I'm going to go ahead and grab this real quick. I'm going to pause you for a second. Okay. I'm going to grab this real quick. I have a lot of things stored over here if you want to take a look at that. But I'm going to go ahead and grab this right here. Richard Sharp says, you guys pictures to share with us. So we have all of this on camera. We have been filming out there. Yeah. We have been filming out there for weeks at this point. So we will be releasing episodes where we show all of this stuff. We're just so excited about the area that we're kind of just talking about everything that's going on there, but we do have every bit of this on camera and it's going to be included in future episodes.
We actually sold off some knives to go ahead and accelerate our camera refit to get a new chest cam for me. So that way we can have and
his chest cam is always running, which
we've got Jesse's camera that she's using for particular things, my main camera with the shotgun mic and all of that. And then we have basically a chest cam with a backup battery source that's running just 24/7 right now, whenever we're out there. Occasionally have to stop to kind of like save files or to change the backup battery bank, but we're filming everything. We're running backup audio recorders. I mean, and that's part of the reason why my back hurts so much, is because we're carrying so much junk.
And we've been carrying that Starlink out there too.
Yeah, we've been taking the Starlink out there. Our boy Grizz, 15 months you've been with us, Grizz. Oh, the memories. Most of the land around the lakes in the southeast is federally owned and operated by the Army Corps of Engineers. A lot of it is used, a lot of it is used to be public parks that included boat ramps and campgrounds. Well, they built a boat ramp out there.
So in an area that I grew up in, the shoreline is all Army Corps of Engineer. It was near Lake Hartwell. I lived there when I was a teenager. But the whole shoreline is Army Corps of Engineer owned. So you can't really cut the trees or do anything like that. But that's how most of the lakes in the Southeast are. It's maintained and owned by the Army Corps of Engineers. There are lots of old campgrounds that are defunct and closed down. There was one near where I grew up at that was shut down and defunct. And I think that was probably my first foray into exploring closed down dark areas, dark wilderness, I guess, when I was a kid. But yeah, that's true. So yeah, it's the boat ramp itself is not a mystery to us. We know that these areas have been shut down, but it's just interesting that this really beautiful area has been shut down.
We found an electrical connection box just in the middle of the woods that we're looking at it and going, all right, was there a home here, or was this the beginning of like them building a campground?
Yeah, it seems like there was a lot of initial infrastructure put in and then abandoned.
We found some like plastic culvert pipes that I guess they were going to put in once upon a time, and the plastic's just deteriorating.
They're dry rotted at this point.
It's been there for like probably 20 years.
But they're stacked in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but what's crazy is if you're going to build a campground and you're going to start putting in infrastructure for recreation, it seems the first thing you do is go, we got to get rid of all this damn I'm talking barbed wire. There's more barbed wire stretched through there that's still up than I've ever seen anywhere else in my entire life. More old wells. I think we're up to 5 wells that we've identified there yet. And only one of them is kind of built up above the ground and closed off with concrete. All the rest of them are closed off with just wooden boards that are at ground level that are covered with leaves and pine needles, twigs and everything that's fallen, and it's all rotting because you'll step and you'll hear it and you have to jump back and then you clear it out and go at a well. So, and then there's glass everywhere. I mean, there's glass everywhere. And something in there is getting these glass bottles, pulling them out of the ground where they're half buried, putting them into trees. We've found where they'll get large glass jugs and break everything out except for the bottom, the flat part of the bottom, and kind of put that in trees, or it'll break the neck of it and then put that in with like a big broken cylinder of like sharp glass around it. It's really weird. And it's everywhere. And I'm going, well, if they were going to do something with this, they needed to clean this up first, but they didn't. It's just been left back there. And I see why a lot of people don't go there, because just, even if you take out the possibility of anything weird going on, it's dangerous as hell being out there, just walking around. We don't know how we're going to investigate most of this at night, because it's safe to stay on the old roads.
We're trying to plot out a lot of the stuff. That's
Yeah.
why we're doing a lot of daytime scouting out there, just because we don't want to fall into a well. Bonnie Blue McGee actually says, you better use your flags to mark those wells, Joe.
We're marking them on the GPS, but what we found is it's just scratching the surface, I'm sure. So what we've got to figure out is we've just got to figure out a way to do it.
And there's just so much weird stuff out there. And I think we're finding, we don't know exactly what's doing this. We've not seen something doing this. We've not had a Class A sighting of Sasquatch putting bottles in trees.
We found
or anything
what
like
looked
that.
like Sasquatch prints. We found some this weekend. And at first, you always see these prints online, and it's just like a patch of grass with like dirt, like a spot of dirt in the middle of it. And the dirt kind of looks like a footprint. And I'm always going, did Bigfoot's foot kill all the grass? Like, this is just a patch of dirt. We found what I thought was that at first, and then I realized everything had been smashed into the soil, because you could see leaves sticking out a little bit. We put that up on the stream. We found a few of those. And if you get in there, you're going, okay, I can see where whatever this was walking, and the ground is harder here, and then it gets softer, and that's where the footprint is. And then you get like a couple of prints, and then it goes back harder again. There's a lot of, it's a very interesting topography in there. There's paved roads that have blacktop on them. So you'll have this wide paved road that's got an inch or two of old leaf fall and pine needles and all that on there. So there's grass growing up.
And then carpets of moss.
Carpets of moss, but there's no trees taking root there yet.
Yeah.
So it's wide and it's clear to walk through. It's pretty pleasant, actually. It's soft because it's got like, so it's clear, it's level, and it's soft because of all the debris on top of it. But it's not very good like substrata for like footprints to be left in. But when you get off of that in some of these areas, it's hard as brick, clay dirt, which right now in the wintertime is very hard. It's not going to leave prints, but then you have softer areas that seem to pick up prints in there. We've heard some extremely interesting audio. We had an extremely weird encounter out there that we're still not quite sure what to think about. But like Jesse said, we haven't had a Class A sighting there yet. But a lot of this stuff does lend itself to stereotypical classic Sasquatch habitation back in there.
Yeah.
And we thought that's all we had until this weekend, where we had the weird lights. We had a light that we were looking at first, and we were like, it's just a plane. It's flashing. And then we had a light a couple seconds later because we were looking in that direction. We went, that's not a plane. That's an orange ball it just looked like a ball of fire that was just moving through the treetops, like sideways, and we lost that. And then we saw another glowing orb that was constantly behind us in the woods and the trees, and we would get around a bend, we wouldn't see it, and then bam, there it would be again. That was extremely weird. That was extremely weird. And
William Kennedy, demonic orb.
demonic. So thank you for that, by the way, Miranda, for the hand warmer pun. And we've been freezing out there too. It's craziness. So it's weird, but again, I was so excited because I thought I had a stereotypical, just classic Bigfoot hotspot with nothing else weird going on, because that's what we're after. That's what we want. And then we started seeing the weird lights, and I'm just going now, and that's why we kind of titled the show like this. Is it even possible to find just a Bigfoot site anywhere, at least in the South?
You know, you and I have discussed this before, that it seems like Sasquatch, it's the way people report Sasquatch in the Pacific Northwest is completely different than what people experience with Sasquatch in the southern Appalachian region. It seems like you're dealing with completely different things that have similar physical characteristics, but there are differences in the physical descriptions as well. It seems like the southern Sasquatch is much smaller, a little more wily, but also has a bit of a supernatural element to it, right?
Yeah, and it's more aggressive in a lot of cases. But I'm looking at this going, because I was so psyched to just, I mean, we were on cloud nine, because we were going, at the end of the day, we got into this because of Bigfoot. We were looking for Bigfoot. And what we have found out there, physically found out there, been able to record, experience, share with you all, is everything but Bigfoot. We didn't get into this to look for like possible real life instances of the Cherokee Little People. That wasn't on our mind when we got out into this. We weren't orb hunters. We weren't out looking for weird like ghost lights.
The great orb hunter sounds cool though.
We started out looking for Bigfoot. And if you take the totality of everything that we've experienced and found and recorded out there, Bigfoot ranks pretty far down on that list of what we've been able to find. We've caught some interesting thermal images that appeared to be sizable, upright, naked creatures. You know, I always go back to that. Did we record a Bigfoot on thermal, or was it a naked hillbilly walking silently through the woods with no visible light source?
I'm more scared of that.
Exactly. So, but we were so excited about this. And then I'll be honest with you, seeing the orbs was kind of a bummer moment for me. I was just going, can we not escape the weird? And then I'm just going, can you escape the weird?
Well, you know, you might feel better. Ruined Temple says the lights may not be directly related to the Sasquatch there. This could be two separate phenomena. We do have the instance of human habitation. You have people who were in very stressful situations. You have a lot of human misery that is in this area. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of burials in this area. You have known cemeteries, and then you have a huge amount of unmarked graves, as well as mass graves. So perhaps what we're dealing with is two separate phenomena. We're dealing with sort of a supernatural ghostly phenomenon, and we're dealing with Sasquatch. The two may not necessarily be related, but perhaps they are.
You know things by the company they keep. And if they are separate phenomena that are being attracted to the same area, what's up with that? And that's what I'm going for.
Well, we get back to these window areas. You know, you talk about the window areas like John Q would talk about, these areas where the veil is thinner, that it's, and what causes that? What causes the veil to be thinner there? We've discussed that it might be this presence of human misery. I think we went over that in the Small Town Monsters documentary on the Land Between the Lakes, Dogman territory, that perhaps this human misery that took place here and all these things that happened here sort of spurned this on and kind of fed into this phenomenon.
And that's understandable. But what I'm saying is that, again, they keep strange company. These things are showing up in the same area as orbs, even if I'm not saying that the Bigfoot are generating the orbs up, or that it's even a side effect or a byproduct of the Sasquatch habitation out there. But if they're so entwined with one another that you're not finding one without the other, that is it possible to, and at least in the American South, I understand that. I understand that people are going to say out west that they're only finding Sasquatch with no other associated weirdness. But I'm even questioning that at this point. Is it going out there and they've ignored it because it doesn't fit the narrative? Have they just not seen it yet? Because right now, I'm at the point when we saw those orbs this weekend, I just had a moment where I just went, well, there goes that that dream of just finding a Bigfoot hotspot with no other weird stuff to have to contend with.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens when the orbs show up. We start having equipment failures, battery failures. My batteries have never lasted better in any of the areas that we've investigated than they've lasted out there.
Right.
It's been a dream. And then what happened this weekend? We're live streaming and the stream starts looping again, like it's happened in weird areas. And we didn't have any of that happen up until this past weekend.
Right.
We had looping that took place when we were still streaming during the daylight hours. And then lo and behold, nighttime shows up and we start seeing weird orbs and we're able to catch them on camera.
Did it seem like, I don't think you mentioned this, the weird incident with me? You didn't mention the weird incident with me, right?
No.
Do you think it started after that? The weird stuff?
Jesse was... So when we were following that trail that I mentioned earlier, that was the glass, metal, quartz, bone, then broken glass trail, we're going down in there and Jesse had just led us right over there. She's like, oh, we need to go this way. And I'm going, why are we going this way? So we're on a really easily passable old road that's gated off. We've gone over several down trees, but we're on this road where nobody's been out there for like ever. You don't see candy wrappers, cigarette butts, old beer cans. You see old beer cans from like the 1940s out there off the side of the road, but you don't see any modern trash at all. And Jesse all of a sudden just veers off to the left. And we're going down through there. And I'm kind of looking around because I'm worried we're going to run across strands of barbed wire, old wells. We start finding the glass and all this other weird stuff in the trees. We go down there until we start losing light. And I'm going, okay, we've not been down in this area at all before this moment. We can't be down here at night. We've got to do a lot of scouting during the daytime. Sometimes we like to go into an area blind at night. It heightens the anxiety. It heightens the uncertainty. It seems like it's kind of like fertile ground for stuff to happen. But I'm like, we can't do it here. It's too dangerous. So we start leaving and hiking up, and we're hiking up this cut between these two hills, gaining
along this creek bed. Yeah.
And Jesse all of a sudden spins around and goes, I just had a thought. And I'm thinking something like an idea has occurred to her. Hey, I've just had a thought.
I get those every now and then.
We need to do this. And I go, yeah. And she just goes, no, I literally just had a thought.
So like I'll describe what happened.
Went into her head.
Yeah. So I heard I don't want to say this. I heard like a voice in my head.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, it sounds like something was mind speaking to me or something. But it sounded like a person talking. It didn't sound like it had no bestial quality to it whatsoever. But it sounded like a person talking to me, but I heard the voice and it said, travel here much. And it had that kind of, that tone to it,
like
and that cadence.
Like a question, travel here much?
Travel here much? Yeah.
And I'm just going, okay, well, that's weird. That's a weird thing just to come into your mind, okay. And I said, well, let's just make a note of it. And it seems like after that happened, we just started having weirder and weirder and weirder stuff happen out there. And we live streamed. The stream started looping again on people's phones, which has happened to us in some really high strangeness areas where people will start experiencing strange stuff at home while they're watching us in the field live. And then the lights show up later on. Thank you for that. Not today. We appreciate it. I opened a separate account. And I got your question starred from earlier about the Willow project that I'll swing to here in a second. But
so Michael says it sounds like I have schizophrenia.
Possibly so,
Yeah, I mean that's on the table. That's on the table.
But that happened, and then the weird stuff started happening later on. So I'm at the point now where I'm just going. We're after high strangeness. We're after weirdness. We want to get out and experience weirdness and all the associated difficulties that come along with it. Try to record it and share it with the world so that people go, I knew it. I'm not crazy. There it is. It's proof that this stuff's happening out there. But damn it, man. I just would kind of like just a standard Bigfoot area with none of the other weird
You can have
stuff.
that if you ignore the weird stuff.
But here's the deal. I don't think you can ignore the weird stuff, at least in this area, because if you ignore it, it starts making your live streams loop. And I guarantee you
that's a jump, isn't it?
No, it's not a jump.
If
I heard a good analogy earlier.
Okay.
where people were talking about something that we can't talk about on this channel because it'll get us dinged. But somebody just went, if you're in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and you start finding like rivers of chocolate in the streets, it's a pretty safe bet that it came from the chocolate factory over there, right? Sometimes you just have to go. I didn't have any problems until the lights showed up. So somehow the lights are connected to equipment issues. And I guarantee you, I'm willing to go on a record right now, is that I will be shocked if we don't start having similar weird equipment issues out there. Similar weird.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprising to me. And I did not think we were going to have to contend with that. I have been so happy. And I've mentioned it out there before. You'll see it in the footage that we've done. I've been like, man, my batteries are just trucking along out here. Jesse's like, do you need to stop and do a battery change? Nope, I'm good. Batteries have been working great out there. But I'm telling you right now that the looping on the live stream is the first step. And now we are going to start to see, my gut instinct is we are going to start to see some of the other high strangeness we see.
Brett Goebel. Hopefully this covers some Vienna sausages. I've been eating those things. We've been out there. I've been eating them sausages.
We've been living off Vienna sausages and Pop-Tarts out there. So
you're the Pop-Tart guy. I'm the Vienna sausage guy.
So it's weird. And that's where I'm at right now, is that I'm much more open to the woo than I used to be. You guys have seen that happen.
Well, you have no choice to be at this
You have no
point.
choice to be. You can either ignore the data, you can ignore what's happening,
or you can embrace
put blinders on, or you can go, okay, this is undeniable. But I'm at the point where I'm just going, I don't know if these areas that you get reports out of and people go, oh, I've been investigating this area for years and all I have is Bigfoot. None of that strangeness happens here. That's all poppycock. That's nonsense. That doesn't happen. I'm going, you're either lying, you're ignoring it, you've got blinders on, or you were going out of your way to explain things. That you're blaming this on some autistic powerlifters out there. Okay, that's what you're doing. But instead of
the giant escaped kangaroo of LBL.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do it just to game through to make sure that there's no explanation to it. But at the end of the day, if the other alternate explanations don't fit, you have to abandon them.
But one thing that we definitely do, Joe and I talk about this stuff all the time. And we talk to each other all the time about this stuff. We like to kind of game through different possibilities constantly. We never commit to anything fully right off the bat. It's always, you have to game through it. Could it be this, this, and this? What's the possibility of this? It's constantly a back and forth when it comes to this stuff about is there any way we can kind of debunk any of this, but not debunking by decree. But we've got to go through every possibility of what is going on before we say, okay, this is what's happening. Because the more we do this, the crazier we sound.
And if you look at the UAP disclosure freight train that's blasting through right now, everything's starting to make sense. A few years ago, they were focused on the nuts and bolts craft that supposedly the government have obtained from, by then, extraterrestrials is what they were calling them. And then the language gets slowly changed to, well, they're not extraterrestrial, they're non-human intelligences. And then now you're starting to see them talking about, well, consciousness is used to control some of these craft, and certain people have different makeups in their brains that are different from the rest of the population. And that's why they see these things and experience these things, and these things seem to are attracted to them. So now we're all of a sudden getting into the fact that all of this is so much weirder. And I'm going, this has all been done on purpose. They knew that if they came out and went, all right, guys, UFOs are real, but here's the deal. They're not crap from other planets. They're involved with consciousness. Your brain, consciousness doesn't originate with your brain. Your brain's just a receiver. Some of the stuff that's been coming out, talking about how your brain interacts with quantum fields and just all of the stuff. And Saban's probably out there like vibrating in his chair right now. But I'm going, they've had to do it like this. They've had to just leave this little trail of breadcrumbs, because if they started out with how weird it was, no one would have believed them. They never would have gotten traction. And I'm just going, this is just like this with Sasquatch. I think that you start off thinking that it's just a monkey out there. And then you maybe get a little weirder and you're going, all right, it's a relic hominid. Maybe it's a species of Neanderthal or one of the other, hominid species that's, we think, gone extinct. And they're just good at hiding. And that's what they are. They're just good at hiding. And then you start to kind of just go, all right, I'm going to like stick my head in the sand and I'm going to stay in that camp and I'm going to belittle and mock anything else that comes along that sounds contrary to that. Or I'm going to start going, am I going to believe my lying eyes or am I going to like, just stick with this narrative? I'm out looking for Bigfoot. We have found in this area, we were drawn there by witness reports.
But you have to also understand this is terrifying for some people to know that their worldview they have held for so long has been shattered by what they've seen before them. So you don't even know if they're going to process what they've seen. You don't know if it's just going to be just completely denied by that built-in filter system that they're not even going to see what's before them. Because
now, see, here's the deal.
It shatters their entire world.
And then here's what even gets weirder. Tracker's credible. He's had a lot of experience out on the search for Sasquatch. He's never seen the orbs in his area. Now he's out west from us. And again, so we're not saying for the entire, I question that because I do have some people that are out in Oregon that we know that have started to experience some weird stuff, but maybe it's not all just confined to the South, but other people like Tracker just seem like, I haven't seen this. So what's going on? Is there a physical flesh and blood relic hominid, whatever? There's still got to be something weird going on with it that we haven't been able to catch it. Going out, but is there something completely different going on out west in the Pacific Northwest, Canada, everywhere like that?
Yeah.
And then what we've got in the South, I mean, there's a reason why they call them boogers because it was based on the boogeyman. It was more of like a fae type occurrence here. And what we're experiencing right now and documenting lines up with that. You know what I'm saying? But
then you can see where that connection was made, where it's more of akin to, say, the fae, because you have the southern United States was mostly established by the Scott Irish, and they brought those traditions over with them.
Well,
and they applied it to what they've seen.
Did they shape what was here by their belief structure? Did whatever was here, is it very malleable by the observer?
Is it sort of like a tulpa in a way?
It'd be like an egregore.
An egregore?
But maybe
or did something hit your ride
and they shaped it? Maybe it was shaped by the Cherokee and the Catawba that were in this area, and then or maybe something hitched a ride. Maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe something hitched a literal ride, either in their brains or in their boats, and came over with them, and then took place and melded with what was previously here.
Yeah.
Because you see these Cherokee legends, and then you see the legends of the European settlers in this area. The names for the things remain the same, but the descriptions, the names change, but the descriptions remain the same. That one area that we go to where we heard those weird booms in the Breaks, Booms, and Howls video, we caught those booms on camera. There's no dynamite mining through there. There's nothing through there going on that would
There's no large piece of machinery picking up a shipping container and dropping it from a great height.
Like. It sounded like an empty shipping container being dropped from like 50 feet up in the air and then smashing into the ground.
We use that phrase "from a great height" a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So, but
I was just thinking about that because we talk about that shipping container. We talked about that.
Well, whatever explanation you come up with, you need to have it applicable to when the Cherokee were here before the European settlers arrived, because they reported that they thought that the gods and the spirits were in those mountains playing like a form of handball, like some sort of game, and those booms were from this game of handball or stickball or whatever it was. And then when the Europeans arrived, they thought a battle had been fought in those mountains, and then they were hearing the ghostly remains of cannon fire, that these were ghost cannons firing off. And so you didn't really have any of the explanations that people trot out to explain what we caught on camera back then. And it's been going on. The names changed, but the phenomenon itself remained the same for it, what people were actually experiencing. So what are you laughing about? What do you
William Kennedy, of course, blending of the blood.
But it's wild. And I don't know, but we've got to come to the idea that a lot of the stuff we have City Boy Woo Pop-Tart Fund is that we have got to just, at least in the South, go, it may be inescapable to experience Bigfoot stuff without the other weird stuff going on at this point. If it's not, somebody tell us where to go to so we can find it, because right now the weird's batting 1,000 with us.
So I've got one that you're gonna love to talk about this as well. Gris says maybe old Bigfoot is more advanced than we are, and they've already figured out what the woo is and how to use it to hide from us.
Exactly.
Perhaps the use of magic is, or these abilities are its technology. It's a technology that's developed completely different from our technology. That's its sort of technology it can use, while we have our sort of technology, and it's going along a parallel but separate timeline.
I feel
evolution.
like I'm a white chick with dreadlocks set in the middle of Sedona with crystals. It's all interconnected, man. It's all this, because quite honestly, it seems to be. If you look at what...
You look all right with dreadlocks.
I would probably look like dreadlocks, man. White dreadlocks. But if you look at what some of these UAP, and again, the jury is still out with a lot of these latest UAP whistleblowers.
I like seeing that you've made such progress.
Well,
and you've opened your mind to the point that you can consider these.
I consider it, but here's the deal. It's still not... The UAP whistleblowers, Jake Barber and the rest of them, came out saying that they had people with psionic gifts that can actually attract and sometimes even to a limited degree control UAPs. That there are physical crafts, but then there's also things that are basically living energy. And then there's other things that are basically organic craft. Here's on a quick side note, but they're talking about how some of the craft, the UAPs themselves, are conscious, living, aware, self-aware, intelligent, but that the creatures that come out of them, the little grays, are not, that they're basically biological robots that the living craft has made. Thought that was interesting. But they're talking about how they can do all of this stuff with the power of their minds, and that the Air Force has been involved with the gifted and talented programs all across the country, that they're able to go through and identify children that maybe have this ability stronger than other people do. They say that a lot of like indigenous tribes, it always comes back to the Cherokee, which I'm going to go ahead and spill that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jessie did a friggin' DNA test and had a decent percentage of Cherokee ancestry in her family that we were unaware of before she did the DNA test. The first one came back at a certain percentage. She did another one. It came back even more. So we're taking that into consideration.
What's interesting about that, and this is, I did this because I read Lou Elizondo's book Imminent, and everybody involved in that Arrow program, everybody that was involved that had these experiences had some modicum of Cherokee blood to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, I'm curious. I'm from Western North Carolina originally. So that's why I did it. And I was like, I'm curious because I have this weird connection with this stuff. I seem like I spur it on. I seem like I stir it up. So that's why I did that. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. That tracks,
Yeah. Well, it's just odd. So you're looking at this going, to Grizz's point, these people, these UAP whistleblowers are claiming that they have people who have developed these gifts and they can go into a meditative state and basically summon UAPs. And like I said on a previous live stream, all they need is a staff and a pointed wizard's hat, and it ain't much different than what you would expect magic to be. That I think the lines are going to blur so friggin' much for us at this point that it's difficult and it's complex and it's so subtle and it's elusive and it's evasive, and it's just, we're catching like little glimpses of it. And we are catching little glimpses of it.
Yeah.
We're catching things on thermal. We're catching audio. We're catching weird stuff. We're able to record it to a certain degree. And as our tech gets better, our personal technology gets better, I think we're going to be able to record more and more and more.
I think so too.
And I think also that it's becoming more interactive with us for whatever reason, whether it's because we're out there and we're physically looking for it all the time, whether it's because, like Jessie said, we're thinking about it and working on it all the time. If we're not asleep or working our mundane day jobs that we use to fund all of this, we're working on something to do with these investigations, whether it's doing research, coming up with equipment, or just as something as simple as cleaning the equipment and getting it ready to go out again. Maybe our obsession with it and our intent towards it is starting to attract its attention. Or maybe it's just the simple fact that we've always had its attention, but we're becoming more open to it at this point. I don't know. And that's the thing that gets me is that Bigfoot in and of itself, an undiscovered ape, a relic hominid, a flesh and blood, that's a flesh and blood answer for a flesh and blood question.
Yeah.
Here they live. This is where they live at. This is where they eat. This is why you can't find the bodies. This is how they're able to hide the majority of their mark on the environment. Because if you take the answers of people who are trained in the regular standard biological sciences and you ask a field biologist, tell me why there's no Bigfoot, and they rattle off a list of 20 things on why they don't believe there's a Bigfoot, most of which because it doesn't behave like any other animal that's out there, and that we would have more physical evidence of it. And those are all very good reasons to you can't discount those reasons. Those are valid reasons. Because if it was just flesh and blood, at least in this area, you'd be able to go, okay, there are Bigfoot here. And we wouldn't be saying it just as Bigfoot people who are interested in Bigfoot. Regular wildlife biologists would be going, I'm seeing marks on the land that aren't, that go beyond black bear.
Yeah.
They go beyond deer. They go beyond something else is here.
They're certainly anomalous. So
Yeah.
they stick out as anomalous.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we are getting into the point where, and it's frustrating because again, I think the Bigfoot question would be so much easier to answer with just a flesh and blood Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Maybe all it takes is one stupid one, clumsy one, or unlucky one getting plastered by a semi and part of that body getting out in the wild
And there you
before it's done. And that doesn't happen. Every year we go by without that happening decreases the possibility that at least in this region that it's just a flesh and blood Bigfoot that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So
But what do you know about a lot of people that do Bigfoot research? That they want to find the easiest answer for things. They will constantly say, Occam's razor, Occam's razor.
I hate Occam's razor. Occam's
about
razor,
everything.
Occam's razor is double-edged and it cuts both ways. Okay.
Oh, God.
And it's
you
just
are on a roll
on
tonight.
a roll
God,
tonight.
You're hot. You're hot.
So why does the simplest answer have to be the one? Why can't, don't explain a mystery with another mystery? What if another mystery is the answer? Okay. There's so many boundaries and limitations put upon a subject that at the end of the day, we don't really know that much about. Okay. We don't know enough about it. Maybe 10 mysteries are the answer to this mystery. Okay. And that's why we haven't got it, because we're looking for non-mysterious answers to a mysterious question. And instead of following the spider web, following it where it takes us to, from this point to this point to this point, maybe it's because people stop and they go, well, it's got to be something as simple as an undiscovered ape. And then we don't advance past that because that's not the answer to it. It's not so simple as that. If it was that damn simple, some good old boy would have a Bigfoot head mounted on his trailer. I've actually hundreds or thousands of them would have that mounted out there.
Yeah, I was about to say, it wouldn't be just one.
We're in the South Carolina, baby. They'd be doing barbecues.
They'd sell them at the jockey lot.
They would sell them at the jockey lot. You could buy the damn pelts, man.
You could buy a $1 machete, a Bigfoot head,
a chicken in a cage. It's a big swap meet flea market thing near us, which is famous for just wild stuff that
you can buy anything at the jockey lot. It's bedlam. It is bedlam there.
Yeah. So, our buddy Cryptid Response is in the chat tonight. What's up, buddy?
I have a ton of stuff marked.
You're putting it into a box, which is impossible. Man, you do have a ton of stuff boxed.
Yes, sir.
Everything from Vienna sausage recipes. Do you ever try Vienna sausages wrapped up in a biscuit?
I have not tried that myself. I do like a classic Vienna sausage, just wrapped in a plain white piece of bread. I think that's a classic meal right there. Carry on. Next.
Brett Goebel. Love that you guys keep an open mind. I've come across plenty of researchers that are convinced they've figured everything out, even though all of this stuff is technically unproven. It's because at the end of the day, it is an unfortunate side effect of a topic that you can't really prove stuff definitively.
It makes it very easy
for people to just
spout nonsense and be an authority on it.
I got my adventure hat. I have my vest with a bunch of pockets on it.
What's in the pockets?
I'm wearing khakis, snacks. And I'm going to now tell you all about what the Bigfoot in my area do. Now, you might go, I've got some suspicions that this what's happened. I've noticed these patterns.
Let me talk about their social structure.
If you know enough about their social structure that you can tell me definitively why you're right and everybody else is wrong, then you have had ample opportunity to capture some sort of photographic video evidence, something like that. You can tell me that this is where they're at this time of the year, and I'll go there and I'll capture that photographic evidence. We've got the equipment for it, but that never pans out.
I'm there.
It never pans out. I know where all the dogmen are. Tell me. I know where they're going to be at. But well, I don't want people to know. Bullshit. You're on Facebook telling everybody this. You obviously want an audience. You want attention. You want people to believe you. Here's the best opportunity for people to believe you. Tell me where it's at, and I'll go and film it, and then I'll give you all the credit and go, I went there because this dude told me to go there. Yet to happen.
He's the great Squatch whisperer.
He's the great Sasquatch whisperer. But it is it's with us, it's frustrating and it's an ego killer. We say this every week. It's a great ego killer. You start going up against this, you get frustrated, you feel very small, you feel very outclassed by all this stuff. We are very good at some of the research methodologies. We're very good at using the equipment. We're very good at figuring out novel ways. And we've been able to capture some pretty good stuff that goes beyond red circles, circled in bushes, faces made out of leaves that you just look at and kind of see a face. We've, lens flare. We've captured some stuff that is truly odd. And we are breaking our necks to do it. We're breaking our backs to do it. We're spending every penny we can kind of gather up, and then every moment of free time we have.
Joe's been set off just now.
I am set off. But it's at the end of the day, it's still, we're not in control of it. It doles out little bits at us every time we get frustrated.
We get glimpses.
Every time we get frustrated and want to quit, it reels us back in.
It's that trickster element. It just reels you back in, doesn't it?
Crew, knife check, please. I'm carrying a old cold steel gun sight folder.
We're having a classic cold steel day.
This is old. I carried these 20 some odd years ago, and they discontinued them, and then I found one on eBay to have just for old time's sake. But that is a awesome little blade there. I'm trying to catch it.
Pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Sweet there, Joseph. I also have a classic cold steel. I have one that's here's the centerpiece of my collection. Actually, one of the centerpieces of my collection. This here is a cold steel black sable. Oh God. Oh Lord. Oh Jesus. Look at that. So that is a beautiful, beautiful blade right there. That is one of the finest blades that Cold Steel has ever made.
That was actually sourced by our buddy Denim Devil.
Yes,
that was able to get
now
that.
They are talking about, I think they are going to re-release black sables, but let me tell you something right now. It won't be this.
Not those Japanese ones.
It won't be that baby right there.
Deuster is going to be
at Goblin Con.
Goblin Con in October, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Goblin Con.
Goblin Con. Goblin Con. Yeah.
Our buddy
I want to go to Goblin Con.
Goblin Con. We're gonna see if we can go to any.
Now you know that Edgar Casey's grave is up there.
Yeah.
It's got something for everybody. The Deuster, goblins, the Sleeping Prophet. That's all you need in your life. So go check out Goblin Con.
JD asks, do you think Jesse is attracting these lights? I don't know. I think so. I'm going to be going into some of these. I occasionally go into these areas by myself. Not a lot happens. I've gotten a couple weird calls, like in vocalizations. One night leaving the grove, something followed me and was breaking big branches, but I never saw it. So obviously it's either because she's a woman, she has Cherokee descent. Is there something more? I don't know, but I know it ain't attracted to me. I can tell you that much right now. When I was on Wild and Weird West Virginia was that Thursday? I was with our buddies Joe and Ron over there. If you have not seen it, go watch it. It was a great conversation. I told them that I was kind of unique in a lot of this stuff because I think I had a Bigfoot sighting as a kid, but I'm always up front going, I don't know if I dreamed it or maybe somebody hoaxed me or whatever, but that's what started me on this journey. And then I've had other weird things happen, but it's always been with Jesse out looking for this stuff. I don't have a lot of weird stuff happen solo. So I feel a lot of times that I'm just like an observer to all of this, like watching this go down, that I'm able to kind of I'm like the Greek chorus of the Hellbent Holler Project. I'm just there kind of saying what I'm seeing, kind of painting the scene for you, but I'm like a step moved from it. I'm behind the camera. I've got like a level of just, of like impartial kind of like observance.
And I think that situation has kind of increased a bit with the birth of my Contact project, that I'm getting deeper into this and things are getting stranger as I
Yeah,
continue to
yeah.
go forward with this contact modalities project. When I whip out the helmet, we'll see what happens from then. You might be trying to steer the ship from going into the rocks at that point, you know?
So I think so, but so I can tell you this, I can go out with Jesse and we have all this weird stuff happen. I go out solo, I don't have it happen. So I think that there is a catalyst there, or some sort of like that it's attracting these phenomena that I don't attract these phenomena. So I'm able to kind of be back a little bit and kind of observe it occurring. And every once in a while, I'm kind of pulled in, like with the nosebleed and the Hey City Boy on that one investigation.
Everybody loves that City Boy thing.
I did have that weird, I got a thought myself as well after I trying to put another recorder into the Grove that night. And the recorders kept breaking or malfunctioning whenever I went in there. And I was so frustrated leaving out that night. I've talked about this before. And I just went,
goodbye, EDP.
Bye, EDP. And those have been very aggressive encounters that people have reported in there. And I'm just going, this is always 10 steps ahead of us. The damn thing out here is just going to kill us. And I just immediately had a thought come into my head that was not in my own inner voice that said, oh, we're not going to kill you. We're having too much fun effing with you. And said the whole word, not effing. And I just went, good God, that just came into my head out of nowhere. And I think I stopped you at that moment and said, hey, I just had the weirdest thought that something just told me that it's not going to kill us because it's having too much fun messing with us. But those are rare and very few and far between. That I'm not a very intuitive person as far as this stuff goes.
Bonnie's out too.
Huh?
Bonnie's out too. Oh no, Bonnie's not out. EDP was saying bye to Bonnie. I'm sorry.
So
I've got one here. Where did I go? Where are you? Oh, Copac was asking, do we have day jobs?
Oh yeah, we have to have day jobs. This stuff's expensive as hell.
We slave away.
We work a great deal, and we don't live extravagantly.
That's how I met the guy that told us about that. That fisherman that told us about this new area we're investigating. He came into my job, so I guess it's good for something, isn't it?
I mean, just the cameras are expensive that we use for this. Thermals are expensive. Audio recorders are expensive. I'm looking at a pile of, we go through batteries like
specialty clothing.
Specialty clothing that wear. So,
boots. We go through boots like crazy.
Soldier Andy, preach, Joe. Thank you, friend. So yeah, we have to have that. We have to do, we have to. We don't. You see people that
that's our opportunity, I guess, to interact with like normal people, though.
Yeah.
Our day jobs.
And we've complained about that in the past. I've complained about that in the past. That you'll see people out there. That's why I'm always very upfront about the equipment that we're getting, because of people helping support the project. Because I've seen people. I used to watch YouTube all the time. I don't watch it now.
I'm familiar with the YouTube.
I'm familiar with the YouTube traditions of begging for money, and then you're still out there 2 months later recording with your cell phone, trying to record everything because all that equipment that you were trying to get never materialized.
We know who you are.
We know who you are and what you do. So, but we need to just have a William Kennedy, just a book release of just William Kennedy quotes, just out of context, no context at all.
Are you looking to retire, Joe? Because that's a winner.
That is
what
winner.
That is.
I will be able to quit.
It's a winner. I think there ought to be like William Kennedy like shirts,
just with random quotes on it. That's actually not a bad idea.
It wants the blood.
Actually, write down "Malevolent Cannibal Bigfoot," and we'll do that. That'll be the first William Kennedy.
That's the title of my new video.
William Kennedy's going to sue us for intellectual property theft, and he's going to have everything we own. It'll be above Hellbent Holler. It'll be William Kennedy's Hellbent Holler. Trey McCullough, Matt Moneymaker posted some stuff last year about how the strangeness and the Sasquatch are occurring together. And again, I can only speak, we focus on the Southern Appalachians because that's where we live at. That way we don't spend days traveling somewhere, research it for 6 hours, then travel back. In this area, the trope and the common belief that Sasquatch is weirder is, in our experience, 100% true. The woo is batting 1,000 with us, baby. So
I just wanted to say IE for some reason.
IE.
I don't know why.
And it gets weirder.
That's my mind speak. You know what it is? I've got a Cajun. I've got like a Cajun Bigfoot mind speaking to me right now. Aye.
And it gets weirder the further south you go. It's real weird in the swamps around New Orleans, man. So, goodness gracious. So at this point, I'm gonna just say it. Southern Sasquatch is weird as hell. It's weird. This weekend proved it for me. I don't think that we are as depressing as it is, and I'd love to be proven wrong. I would love to come back and just go, we have got an area, there's nothing else strange going on, but the looping of the live stream and the weird lights this weekend just were kind of like disappointing to me, to be honest with you. And I know that's what we're after, but couldn't we just get the Bigfoot stuff without that? Because you know what's going to start up. You know what's going to start up is the equipment issues.
I hope not.
I'm just
telling
you right
jinx
now,
it though.
I'm not jinxing you, but at the same time,
no. What's interesting is anybody that's not familiar with our live streams and stuff we've done before. We've done some live streams out in the field where all of a sudden a lot of crazy stuff starts to occur with the people who are watching our live stream. It seems like this is sort of a paranormal contagion. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again in this particular area.
Walter Ballard said we are keeping the woo entertained. I honestly think that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I still can just that voice in my head. We're not going to kill you. Oh, we're not going to kill you. We're having too much.
So it's okay when you have a voice in your head. Totally normal for Joe to have a voice.
Yeah.
In his head.
Well, no, it's not normal for me to have a voice in my head. And it's because I don't think I'm very naturally in tune with any of this stuff. I don't think
so. It really had to bust through.
It had to break through a brick wall. It had to go Kool-Aid Man on me in order to
Kool-Aid Man into your cortex.
Yep. Kool-Aid Man into the old cortex. So all right. I'm gonna try to catch up with this.
Who was it? Ruin Temple, I think, asked if we go through our chat after the show. So our two mods are not around. Our two main mod broads are not here. So we'll have to go through our chat when we get done and take a look at it because there's a lot of stuff on there. But yeah, we'll go through our chat.
Just like Nutslap saying, those blood banks take your DNA and create chimeras with it. So
I think they're gonna look at my blood and they're like, this is mostly the barbecue sauce found in a Vienna sausage can.
Yes, indeed. So
I don't know what we're gonna make out of this.
We tried to mix it with another species, and all we got was sentient
weenie goblins.
Weenie goblins. Good God. Weenie goblins.
The North American woodcock.
Man, that woodcock's driving me crazy.
He was so pissed. This North American woodcock, we had to download an app to figure out what it was because we didn't know where goshawk was, and we didn't have the Starlink up yet to get on and ask goshawk what was attacking us. But we were trying to set up the Starlink. We're in this clearing, and this thing is just what was the noise it was making?
Can't even.
It was bizarre. But it was coming, and it was just would not leave us alone, and it would just bounce near us and then fly away and then come to the other side of us. And I was like, "Is this a ground nesting bird? Are we near its nest? What's going on here? Have you found it?"
I'm gonna see if I use the Merlin app, which if you guys,
I was about to say that's a seagull. Joe?
But yeah, that's actually that's a ring-billed gull. That's my bird of the day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My bird of the day.
Apologies to the ring-billed gull.
Yeah, but this woodcock.
Contingent.
This woodcock was a jerk. But anyway, it was just, yeah. All right, I'm going to catch up with this chat here real quick. We are going to wrap it up in a few minutes. And we've got more Bigfoot stuff coming, but I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be wrapped in a layer of woo for you all.
I got a scary one here. Wild Man of the North says, Wild Man, I said that like Rubber Man.
Wild Man of the North, is there an ancient biome that allows mutations of species as the permafrost?
God, I hope not.
Who knows, man? I mean, they're taking like viruses out of the permafrost and going, oh, we resuscitated these strange viruses. So...
William Kennedy's got another gem here. All of humanity may very well owe both the pharaohs and existence.
Y'all are in a rough spot if that's the case. So,
oh no,
y'all are in a rough spot. So,
we thought things were bad before. They owe it all to the weenie goblin. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm, the weenie goblins, and like that, a new Hellbent Holler. meme is born.
So go ahead in the chat, say if you want a Weenie Goblin t-shirt in the store.
Weenie Goblin. What was the one William Kennedy said? Cannibal.
Malevolent Cannibal Bigfoot.
Malevolent Cannibal Bigfoot. So I'm like insanely behind on the chat.
Stephen Taylor said Jesse a paranormal Pocahontas. Oh God. It's been a day.
It has been a day. Specialty clothing. Maybe that's the problem. We need to get Joe something that shows off his hips.
You're going to have to get Joe some hips first.
Got to give me some hips first. So, all right. He's a
6.5 foot tall Irish dude.
And
it's just.
Erebus says, was Patty not the woo type then? Why didn't she cloak away? I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't swallow the Patterson Gimlin film whole cloth. And I know that's not a very popular opinion, but I look at the Patterson Gimlin film, and I'm not saying it's a man in a suit or anything like that, but I am going to say this, that you hear the verbal descriptions of Sasquatch.
What if it was like a Tupac like projection? Not from Tupac, but like a hologram.
Maybe it is Tupac. So, well, here's the deal: is that
Patty was Tupac.
So I saw this,
like a hologram, but it's like from a more advanced species.
Well,
like,
I mean,
like an NHI hologram.
I don't know, because you have people have Bigfoot encounters.
Yeah, they don't describe it like that.
It was so fast. It was this. It was there. Then it wasn't. It looked so powerful. It was this. You don't really have people go, well, tell me what you saw. It's kind of sloppy looking.
Lumbered about.
Just kind of lumbered along, really kind of just, it really didn't look like it was capable of any great speed or graceful movement. And that's what Patty is to me. I look at Patty and I just go, it moves like a big clumsy bear. And I'm just going, if it was all like Patty, we'd have them in cages right now. That's what doesn't make sense to me. When I look at the Patterson Gimlin film and I see that thing walking away, and I know everybody's just going to go, oh, it was leading them away from its young. It might have been. I don't know. I'm just telling you that if you look at the Patterson Gimlin film and you go, that's a real creature, a real entity, then your next question has to be, why don't we have one of these yet? Because I don't see a creature of great physical prowess there. You don't see grace or speed or anything like that. I'm not saying it's not capable of it, but that video is not indicative of that. So,
my dear Cynthia, I hope you feel better. I hope everything works out for you, my dear.
Guys, we're wrapping up in a minute.
Yeah.
Let me move on down here. Are you at the bottom of the chat?
I'm working. I'm going through, trying to. I got mentally sidetracked by Tupac. Patty. I'm saying that it's like a projection. Like I couldn't think of holograms, so I thought of Tupac because of the Tupac hologram. But you think about the NHI were projecting like dirigibles during that era,
Well, you're talking about how the UAP phenomenon seems like it changes along with us.
Yeah, but then it's projecting something.
Well, back in like medieval times, people thought that there was Magonia, Passport to Magonia, Jacques Vallée's book. Magonia was a mythical land in the clouds because people would see ships from like the water in the clouds. Just there would be reports of that. They saw just seafaring ships in the clouds. And then when we got into the 1800s, the 19th century, people started reporting mystery airships. So they looked like the hot air balloons, the dirigibles of the time, but different, more advanced, crazy looking, weird aerials coming out of them and everything like that. And then we get into the atomic age and you start seeing these weird space age rockets and flying saucers. And then we get into the age of drones. And now that's what we're seeing now up there. Drones that seem to behave in ways that our drones can't behave. So either our own perception is affecting what we're seeing, or it's riffing off of us and it's going, this is what their subconscious is focused on. And this is how I'm going to present myself. So,
yeah. So clarification on that Vienna sausage recipe. He says that they wrap them in biscuit dough and bake them. So everybody was wondering.
Jay Story, Patty, Patterson Gimlin film. They call the Bigfoot in there Patty often.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing up prayers for Cynthia. Cynthia, we hope everything's going well with you. Cynthia's a big part of the old Hellbent Holler
crew.
Yeah. And Cynthia, no, we're all praying for you there, Cynthia. I hope everything's gonna be okay with you.
All right, people are asking me about hats. I've got to get the hats in from the Stitch Witch. And same thing with patches. Stitch Witch does the patches as well. So,
Brian Wigg
from
from Australia. Great to see you again. Great show as always. Just wondering, Jess, did you say you were restocking your hats? Can't wait to represent you here in Australia. We are going to probably, we're running into some time constraint issues because the field investigations are taking up so much time.
We're spending a lot of time out.
We are going to actually, we probably should have mentioned this. We'll mention this at the beginning of next week, but we're having to kill the P.O. box.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a P.O. box anymore. It's $300 for a P.O. box now, and we just can't
Insane. Oh, but I will say we're killing the P.O. box. It's gonna be. I probably have another week on it. So
yeah, so we're not gonna have
don't send
the PO
anything
box.
to it.
We're gonna try to figure something else out. But for right now, we're trying to field a bunch of like audio recorders out there. We've got an audio recorder project that we're getting ready to officially launch. So that's taking up a lot of, and we can't justify $300 for a PO box.
No, and I just we just don't need it. It's crazy. It's a crazy price for a freaking
so we're gonna figure
box.
out something else. But I mean, that's
we'd rather direct that to
that
more
can hopefully
equipment.
be 3 audio recorders that we put out.
But I do have a funny thing that I picked up from the PO box. That's when I found out how much it was gonna be to renew it. And I said, well, I'll just take my goods and leave. I'm out of here. So someone sent me these. It was actually Cowboy 4572.
Cowboy sent you these? So
are you ready?
Yeah.
I know that you all know about my personal feelings about the Loch Ness Monster. And he was very aware of this as well. That's why I got a Loch Ness Monster bookmark.
Wait, that's a bookmark?
It's a bookmark. I'll pass them to you so you may see.
That is a Loch Ness Monster bookmark. Okay.
We have the quintessential Loch Ness Monster Miss Nessie egg cup, so you can enjoy an egg out of a Loch Ness Monster in the mornings.
Wait, so is this like a boiled egg or a raw egg?
You can put whatever kind of egg you desire into the cup.
How much is this? A box full of
This is a box full of Nessie related goods.
Kitchen items?
Yes, it is. I think he got the Ototo full line of Nessie gear. So we also got the Papa Nessie pasta spoon. Papa Nessie will pop out of the pot with your favorite pasta ready to serve. A legendary pasta meal is guaranteed. We get the Papa Nessie pasta spoon.
All right, hold on. You got to get them. So show it in all its Nessie glory. It's the goofy
little face for me.
It's the goofy little face that does it.
And then we got the Nessie family pack. Jesus. The Nessie family kitchen pack. He got every Nessie item just that he could find. The Nessie family kitchen pack. I believe this is a tea infuser. It's a little...
It's a wobbly Nessie then, man. It's a very wobbly Nessie.
And then we got our classic ladle. And then we've got a colander ladle here. And that's the Nessie treasures of the day.
So what in the heck? So I'm assuming Cowboy's probably some weird eccentric millionaire that just lives in like a crazy like Victorian mansion and he's just like buying like Nessie stuff like that.
Another thing I wanted to share, this actually showed up in our email. This is one of our viewers. His name is Rich. He does really cool illustrations. Somebody said earlier, I think it was Jay Sartori. He said something about Bigfoot and Dogman are in a war. I had to share this. This is a illustration, a pen drawing that our boy Rich did. Take a look at this. Look how cool this is.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
I'm going to blow it up. We'll have to zoom in so you can see kind of what it
That is awesome, man.
So look at the detail on this thing. Let's go a little closer
that
here.
Looks like an old woodcut.
Look at the face. Now, I wanted to ask you a question. Does the face not look like our boy Denim Devil when he's real angry?
It does look like Denim Devil.
He does. Okay, we're going to zoom down here. Look how good this looks.
It looks like a woodcut. It looks like
it does.
Old, like Ulbrich
look at the veins in the hand here, my man.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep. So Rich did that. I just wanted to share that with everybody. He said I could show it to people, but I thought it was pretty dang cool. We have a lot of talented people involved in this that join us. All right. I just wanted to share that. That's our show and tell for the week.
Not today. It's become a YouTube member.
Well,
not today. Thank you. We appreciate the support, buddy.
And now you can check out those videos.
We are actually getting ready to launch because we've been getting such crazy audio evidence up at Laurel Creek, and then
yes,
in Blackthorn, we're getting ready to launch like a field recording project that's a little bit more structured than what we've done in the past.
Yep.
Where the goal is.
Do you want to say the name, or do you want to wait for me to put a video out?
We're going to save the name, but we're going to have
good one.
A structured field recording project.
Yeah.
I've got to fine tune some stuff with the recorders that we're doing, and it's a cost thing. I got to keep them as cheap as possible because we want to get multiple field recorders out in some of these hot spots and run them for weeks at a time. And then we will probably have to leverage some of you all in the community that are interested in doing some audio review with us.
Yes.
To look for anomalous sounds. And I'm going to warn you right now, it's boring. It is time consuming. It's cool as all get out when you find something neat, but guess what? You have to filter through hours of audio to find those cool little nuggets. And
it's also kind of frightening sometimes, like when you heard the city boy thing, it flipped you out for a long time.
But we're going to be doing this, and it's going to be a much more structured thing because we think we now have enough areas that we have caught consistent sounds in to start doing some very structured like audio analysis in these areas. So we're going to be launching that. We're already in the first wave of it, but when we finalize this, and it's right now we're looking at standardized recorders across the board. So that way we're able to, if we catch.
Oh, Lenny's on here. He goes uncanny about that looking like him.
So
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go on. So we've got that going on. We've got that we're getting ready to launch. I got some new power cables showing up tomorrow, as a matter of fact, that I'm going to try out. So we did a preliminary test with the latest incarnation of the long duration audio recorder.
Yeah.
Battery didn't last as long as I expected it to. It was very cold. Still shouldn't have drained that.
And there was a downpour.
We had a lot of weather that came through that we were not forecasted to get. And as you start to review audio, rain plays havoc with it. When it's raining, something's got to be really loud and really close to you to hear it over the rain. That's all there is to it. But it came through unscathed with the battery drain. I got to look at a different battery drain, or it might be my cables that I'm using. I don't know. But a lot of trial and error to go through because I know that there's other things out there with lower bit rates, and other people use smaller, like more basic recorders. I have really good audio quality stuff. So that if we catch something, it really minimizes the possibility that we're misidentifying something commonplace.
Yeah. And we've gotten some crazy audio captures before. It seems like the phenomena is okay with you hearing it and recording its audio, but not seeing it or recording its image. Yeah. So we're going to explore that a little further with this audio project. I'm really excited about it. I know Joe is. Joe is also just very frustrated with building these recorders. The trial and error on these recorders has been a little difficult from time to time. He built one a while back that was one of the earlier iterations of it, and we took it out into the Grove and left it for an entire week, and then we got it, and there was a huge malfunction. That was working perfectly, and then we got it out in the Grove, and there was some sort of strange malfunction with it, and it was kaput. The whole recorder was kaput. Every component was destroyed. So it's been a lot of trial and error, but I'm hoping that this kind of comes together. Now, this is a project that we're going to be doing for years to come. We're going to really focus on high quality audio. We're really excited about that, and involving you guys in possible evidence review, because it's going to be hours and hours of audio to review when we start deploying these in multiple locations. So we're super stoked about it. And then maybe we can get that. It's not a smoking gun. It's
another piece in the puzzle.
Another piece of the puzzle. There you go. If anybody has anything else, please let us know, because we're about to end up the show. We're about to wrap it up. I'm going to go make us some dinner. We're going to start our week because it's Monday, and we're going to hit the ground running. What do you think, Joseph?
Indeed.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us for this show tonight. We had a blast. I hope that, I don't know, we talked a lot about Sasquatch, its possibilities and everything, but you know what? We're not changing any minds. Nobody's changing any minds on anything. I think you just have to go through some experiences to really change your mind. I think that's what happened to Joe, is that he went from one position to another based on his personal experiences. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank our members for supporting this project. You guys are the MVPs. You guys really do a serious number in helping us buy new equipment, build these audio recorders.
Not in addition to that, we've got an audience.
We've got an audience that we can bounce ideas off of.
Well, then we also have the community that's come up. I don't think anybody else in the paranormal cryptid sphere is able to do what us do, because a lot of people
do what us do,
or speak like we as well as we do. But
we speak real good.
A lot of people get onto YouTube and they start getting support from the community, and they basically just start living off that money. We work day jobs. We do this so that way we have our own money to contribute towards this, and we have the support of the people. So it allows us to do things that other people aren't doing right now. And I think you're seeing that with the live streams from the field that we're doing from these active areas. People are able to experience stuff in real time with us, and it's got a whole nother level. And I think having that audience and that mental and that psychic energy of people watching from all over the world
really contributes.
Kind of like focused on this. It seems like things like to show off sometimes.
Yeah.
And it seems like things like to let us get to the point where we've dropped our guard and nothing much is going on tonight. And then bam, stuff starts to happen.
Isn't that a kiss of death for a peaceful night when you say nothing's happening?
So, all right, we're wrapping this up.
All right, guys. I hope you guys have an awesome Monday. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Y'all be careful out there. Stay in touch with us. And then hopefully I'll have a video out from Laurel Creek coming out soon. Obviously, I didn't die at the end of that last one. So I'll have a follow-up to that coming out.
We are taking a break from Laurel Creek after she gets the
final couple of
videos out. We're taking a break from that for a while. And we'll get into that next week.
We will get into that after we get this Laurel Creek stuff out. We'll definitely get into that. But it's not safe at this point. No. That's where we'll be at with it right now. But anyway, speaking of safety, love you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Have a good week. Live long, prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Bye, guys. Thank you.